Wayne taught me one thing. There's people do things for two reasons, either to gain pleasure or avoid pain.
Avoid fear, yeah.
Right? And that's the philosophy that we apply into all of our ads today.
Welcome to another episode of our podcast, Relentless Life on Your Terms, Season 4. Joining us is Kristian Curcio. How are you, mate?
Very well, Chris. How are you?
Very well, very well.
Thanks for having me on.
And thank you for being on the show. You've been an entrepreneur now for 15 years.
Yep.
You've run a group of different businesses
Yep.
in the digital end-to-end space. So I'm going to talk to you a bit about that. But tell us, how did your entrepreneurial journey begin and what are you doing now?
Mine probably started because I just wanted to grow businesses. My family was in property and real estate, and that was what I thought I always wanted to be. Always wanted to be in real estate. Long story short, I studied marketing and real estate, had a crack at it, and then realized it was my childhood dream was my biggest enemy. I hated it.
You didn't like real estate?
Hated it in the conventional real estate way. Not that I've got anything against them. I've got a lot of friends are real estate agents. I actually love what they do. Just didn't work for me.
Wasn't for you. That's understandable.
Wasn't for me. But as a result, I got to sort of do some work in marketing, and that lightened what we now do, and that kind of is what sparked my entrepreneurial interest, because I like to work with businesses, build businesses, scale businesses, and see them grow. And it was probably my sales experience that got me to understand how to do that really well.
What was your background in sales?
Well, I did real estate for a bit. Before that, I ran a call center. I was in a call center.
Yep.
So we used to do a lot of cold calling stuff.
That
was where I started. That was the first job I had, call center, cold calling. Yeah.
It's the school of hard knocks. You learned a lot. I worked in a call center many years ago in the South Melbourne, switching people's telco.
Yeah.
And doing holiday concepts as well. We were selling seminars and to timeshare.
Yeah,
timeshare
sales is one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best way to actually get your teeth cut in sales. I don't think they do that anymore. But
holiday concept we were selling, but we learned a lot from it. So it's definitely a good school to ground and sharpen your skills when it comes to sales.
Yeah.
And then you fell in love with marketing, which has now led you to this business. The funny thing you said to me off air, you've done over 3,000 podcasts for your clients.
Yeah, we've done over 3,000 podcasts. We've done, just for one client alone, we've done over 155 episodes. We did a law show, which was like a law pre-podcast days. This is how long some of these go back. We did over 300 just for one client that we grew. They then sold. It was their biggest form of lead gen, actually.
Well, look, it's a good way to get your knowledge out there. And I do it as a form to give back, to get some more knowledge. But what I found is I meet great people like yourself. It opens a lot of doors for me as well, and for other opportunities for my guests as well. But it's also a good way to give back knowledge.
Yeah.
And you meet great people.
It is, yeah. And it's a very soft way of getting that communication and learning versus another form of video or just a straight up meeting. So
also shows you're an expert in your field, the positions that way. Yeah. But it's good to have a diverse series of guests. So why did you get into the marketing end-to-end? What exactly do you do for clients? Now, I've worked with you in the past, so I'm not going to go through. I prefer you to explain to what that is. And you say end-to-end. Explain what that means. Yeah,
so we've got our own kind of a formula to make ads that work, and it comes from a principle that I learned pre cold calling days. I got to learn from a guy called Wayne Berry, who's since passed. Had a business called Top Gun Sales Academy. He brought in Jim Rowan, one of the first guy to bring him in.
So Jim Rowan quite on my desk.
Yeah, He was the first guy to bring him in to Australia, actually. And Wayne taught me one thing, and we actually employ his son now. He's one of our editors. Wayne taught me one thing. There was people do things for two reasons, either to gain pleasure or avoid pain.
Avoid fear, yeah.
Right? And that's the philosophy that we apply into all of our ads today. So it was that basis that actually got us into that, and that's what's built so many of our clients.
It makes perfect sense too, yeah?
Yeah.
So obviously you started buying different businesses over your 15-year journey.
Yep.
You've now launched a couple. Tell us a bit about them.
Yeah, so we had, first and foremost, our core business was a production business. That became, from when we launched it, it became the largest producer of TV ads in the country within 6 months. So we used to do we still do, over 100 of those a month. But what happened is it sort of, the time kind of changed. Before it used to be TV, radio, some print advertising, that kind of thing. Now, of course, we've got social, YouTube, TikTok. The issue that we found with businesses is that we bought a media business so that we could make ads and place them for TV, radio, and out of home. But the issue that we found largely for clients and why we're doing this is you've normally got a production company, you've got a social company, you've got a digital company, and then you might have your media agency. But what happens is the client's got its goals and its needs. So when something goes wrong, which inevitably it always does, not by anyone's fault, it just might be a market shift, or it might be something that's happened in the economy that changes things. What happens is the client gets left in the middle. And they're going, and each one of those suppliers is pointing the finger at the other, saying it's their fault, it's that fault, and there's no accountability. So CLMG, a creative-led marketing group, is a complete end-to-end agency that is accountable for all things under it for that client. It saves the client time. They don't have to meet with 5 different people, brief them all differently. They meet with one person, and our team, we just pull on whatever lever that client needs in order to achieve for it to achieve its goals.
If you think of it, it's very similar to what I do here. The reason I bought the property sales, the finance, the property management, the accounting, the financial planning one house is because once we've got that fact find, we want to ensure that we're heading in the right direction for the clients. And when I wanted to get an end-to-end financial services business, because I don't want no fingers pointed, I want to be 100% accountable to my clients' outcomes, their results, and what we promise.
Yep.
It's very, very similar in that sense.
It's exactly the same. So we're able to then, if whatever their budget is, so whatever they're trying to achieve, if there is something that happens or needs to be, that we can just move that money around in order to make sure that they get their goal. And usually the goals that we work towards, as a majority, is towards building businesses to exit.
Because I read a bit, you've helped many business exits, some are turning over 30 million, some that have gone over to ASX companies as well. Tell us a bit about them.
So
some of the smallest to the biggest.
This was kind of something that sort of happened under my kind of client list of how we started, is that I think my smallest probably sold for 30 mil. We've got 5 at the moment that are going Vesta Fund, 2, 3 that are going to ASX. So we build them and package them up for those exits. And that means everything from building a good brand to making sure that they've also got enough leads and sales to run with so that they can keep growing and scaling their businesses to whatever that means.
And what some of the biggest clients look like?
We do everything from, we're just working with Superdry now. We do everything from a lot in renewable energy, retail. One of them was in legal services that was one of the first ones that we did. It was a business called Nowiki Carbone, which started probably a team of about 15 people when we started with them till they sold us later in Gordon. We do a lot in renewable energy. The top 4 solar providers are all ours. We've taken each one of those at various times from wherever they started to number 1.
What do you think the key to your success was?
Probably that key point of understanding people's pain points of gain pleasure and avoid pain. And just driving to push and push and push and push.
You attribute that to an unbelievable fact find. So when you do what we call a discovery, meaning to really understand the needs.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
Exactly that. Understanding what they need and then helping them achieve it.
And understanding what the market wants and bridging that gap from what they require, what they want, to finding that end user.
Yeah.
I always wonder those questions, because why do some companies succeed? Why do they not? And I feel the ones that put more work in the front end and strategically plan have a much better chance of success.
I find it's exactly that. It's in the planning, but also how you market it, and then how you manage it internally. Most, from what now my experience has been, it's usually not the best products that do the best.
Best known beats best.
Mm-hmm.
I always say that. And I saw Grant Cardone, but I always used to say before I saw it, why not do both?
Yeah.
So it's good to be best known beats best, but I said I would like both mantelpieces.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you've got that marketing agency, it's the one that actually moves the product.
Yeah. But
best in class or best practice is important as well, because you want to deliver that service to the client.
And that's probably another thing that we do put a lot of time and effort in working with our guys on, is it's not just about pushing whatever that marketing budget is. We've got some clients now that have had to stop because we've sold too much. And then you've got to work with their cash flow and supply issues. So it's a broader kind of service that we work with, is understanding what are the business's challenges as well. The last 2 years have seen something like I've never seen before. Product supply issues, having to move stuff. A client might, if they're retail fashion, order stock for summer, for example, stock comes late because it's been delayed shipping. You then got to work with that to work with their cash flow, because they've still got to have their overheads, they've still got to sell, and making sure that kind of those two bits work together.
So they measure those two well. They balance it to get the best outcome.
Yeah.
What are your 3 biggest successes in business so far?
3 biggest successes are probably becoming the largest within 6 months in our space and maintaining that. The other I would probably say is getting involved in a lot of charity that we do is a passion project for me. But the biggest one is helping our clients achieve what they want to achieve.
When you said the largest, define largest in what sense, what metric?
In terms of volume.
Volume as clients?
Volume of ads. Volume of ads and retention on clients.
And obviously helping your clients from end to end, because they come in with a specific target, scale my business, and off you go. Now, the recent business that you've started putting together was called, I know it's what's...
CLMG.
Yep, CLMG, which stands for?
So Creative-Led Marketing Group. The reason for that, or CLMG, we call it for short, is because creative determined, our customer promise is to put the right ad in front of the right person at the right time, right? And to make that right ad is the difference between success or fail.
Correct.
If you're talking to someone in the right point and addressing whatever it is that's going to get them on that platform, that's what will get them to actually trigger an action of a lead, a sale, a call, an engagement, or an online buy.
What are you finding for now? What's the best mediums that people are getting to people? Now, I know it's different based on the client and based on who their avatar is, but what do you feel is working more?
It's a lot of there's never usually one. The key is multiple. So the more touch points that you're in, the better your results are.
So top of the mind marketing. So they see you quite a few times.
Yeah.
Now I know these stats are pretty alarming. I'd like you to share them. How long does it take for people to scroll before they notice your ad? How long you got their attention?
So the average number, according to Facebook or Meta, is that people scroll 180 meters a day.
And how long how many seconds?
Well, that seconds, you've got 3 seconds to get them, but that's the stat. But it's actually less than 3 seconds.
Now, isn't it?
Yeah, because you've got to stop them before they actually it's in that 1.6 second gap that they're scrolling through.
So just to clarify how crazy this is, people scroll so many meters.
180.
You've got 3 seconds to flick across in 1.6, 1.8 to get their attention.
Yep.
How many times do they have to see before they even think of acting?
The average number is about 6. 6 is a sweet spot on social.
And that's increasing.
And your sweet spot is 5 platforms or 5 different places to actually talk to them.
Why?
To get to get a better result. Because some people don't engage on certain platforms. Others, you've also got to get them to engage when they're in a certain frame of mind.
Get different eyeballs, or the same eyeballs looking on different mediums?
The same eyeball.
Same eyeball, different mediums, makes it appear that the marketing is more effective, or it's everywhere. Is that it?
Yeah. Your overall ROI, or cost per acquisition, your ROI percentage increases to like over 130% the more platforms you add in.
Because when there's a funny thing I used to use when I was in sales. I don't know if I've ever shared this actually. So we used to do different seminars or cold calling. And then I'd come in, what interested you on the phone call? People, and then I'll talk. I used to always say this to them. Now I know where the lead came from because I'd always find out.
Yeah.
I'd say, how did you first see us? Did you do an ad? Did you receive a call? Was it an advertisement? Was it TV? Was it one of our cars? And I used to put 5, 6 mediums out there. And in their head, I'd go, oh, that one or that one.
I think.
And someone even goes to me, oh, I saw you guys on TV. Now at the time we weren't on TV. So I go, oh, that's great. Who am I to argue with the client, right? But I used to put 5, 6 mediums out there because they wanted to know that we're not just a company that does A or B.
That's a really interesting point that we deal with on a daily basis, because everyone always says, "Oh, Google is my best metric. It gets me the best results." But then if you pull a Facebook or pull a TV out of it, you'll see that Google number drop, right? Because Google ultimately has done a great job at making all their attributions a point to them. So you go, no, Google, I'm going to spend more money with Google. But Google's like the bottom of a bucket. You got to keep topping the bucket up to make sure it stays full.
It hits you on Google, but you don't know where that was seen.
Because you've seen it somewhere else.
And it makes
then
sense.
I've gone to Google.
I get it.
You don't go to Google first. For example, if I might not know that I need financial planning right now, right? But if I see something that triggers to me that says, that if I don't make these calls by the time I'm 40, I might have an issue with my retirement later on.
One of the best marketers of all time, Steve Jobs, who learned off the great Aki Morita, used to say, people don't know what they want yet until you show them. So he used to show them. It's exactly what you're saying. If you are 40, trigger, 50, trigger, bang, there's the ad.
Bang.
Makes sense. What are some of the biggest lessons you've learned in business? Some of the biggest failures and lessons?
The biggest failure is ego. Don't let ego get in the way of what you think is a business. Sales aren't business. They're an important key to the business. But the biggest learning for me is everything is about systems and processes.
I always say make the business about system, but not people.
Yep.
If it's driven from system and process, it's scalable, it's repeatable, it's duplicatable. Mac is the best example of that. It's not about people.
Yep.
It's about process.
It's purely about process. And that allows the people to be amazing at what they do.
I love that.
If you get ahead of yourself without having those processes, you really stunt any growth, impact your cash, and can very quickly get to a point where you might be looking at going under.
Out of cash?
Yeah, out of cash, right? But the biggest thing out of everything is accountability, right? The captain has to be the most accountable, and everyone in the team has to be completely unaccountable, but more importantly, understand what they're accountable for.
So everyone's got a role to play, which is equally important.
Yeah.
That's what I say to people, like this process, and I reflect back to what we do, needs to be so robust, but everyone's so important, no matter to what small or large level they think they play in their role, everything counts. You can take a small square to something and it still won't operate.
Yeah.
And obviously it's so intricate when you're talking about marketing.
It's extremely important because especially now with so many different platforms, once upon a time you made a TV ad, you might have made a radio ad and that ran for 6 months. Now content's to a point that we are forever changing it. We're the only ones in our space that offer what we call creative refreshers, which means our team just look at the data. The minute the data starts dropping on performance, we just automatically change ads for you, right? You used to do that every couple of months. Now that might happen twice a month.
That's because of everyone's got, it's information overload.
Information overload.
You don't know where to stop. So I guess, how do you stand out in a sea of sameness when it comes to marketing? That's the point you need that point of difference.
That point of difference, and it's completely understanding whatever those key USPs are and conveying those USPs.
So listen, unique selling propositions. How do you stand out? Because
we have what we call our ad methodology. That is something that we live and breathe by. It's the one thing that we don't break on, because if you break on that, that's what impacts the client's results and essentially what they're paying us for. And the crux of that is that we include what we call a certain amount of buzzwords in each structure of each ad at certain points. Impact words
things that are working now.
Yeah, things that are like catchy on a pain point or an entertainment point. But each ad, and the most important part here is each ad must have what we call a single-minded proposition.
Which is?
One ad, one message. What am I trying to get the person to do?
Don't confuse it.
Don't confuse it. Keep it simple.
It's one-on-one sales. A confused mind doesn't act. A confused mind doesn't proceed.
Correct.
A confused mind procrastinates.
Correct.
So be clear and concise.
Yep.
And some of the best brands in the world, and I'll refer to Apple, I'll refer to any luxury brand, know exactly what they are.
Yep.
Their messaging is crystal clear. You walk into their shop, it's crystal clear. It's not convoluted. It's not confusing. It's this.
Yep.
And I saw something that I always love. Simplicity and humility are 2 hallmarks of greatness. And it's so hard to come up with a really simple ad that just knows exactly what it is, because that's why people will proceed.
And it's a really interesting one. We see a lot of businesses try to bring people in-house to make ads, and you can make ads in-house. Anyone can do them. The reality is, and this is actually part of our sales scripts, right, is with iPhones these days and or Samsungs, whatever, you don't need a production company, right? I can make something sensational. But what you need to do is challenge thinking to make sure that that's simple.
Of course, but also too, and I think the advantage of not having it in-house is once you're involved in a business, you really see it from that lens. You don't see it from an external lens.
You can't challenge your own thinking or do your
because you're in the ring. Yeah. When you're outside the ring and you're coaching, you can see that that's the shot to take there, that's the shot. But also, a second massive advantage, I think, having it external, they're working with 5 to 10 brands.
Yep.
Their market research is up to date. They're challenging, their thought process is up to date. one idea in one company or one industry might have an impact on another.
Yeah.
And it's also, you're looking at different methodologies, you're looking at different systems, you're looking at different processes. In some, you're looking at different CRMs, you're looking at different, there's so many advantages to it. Now, I understand why people want to bring it in-house because of control. I've had marketing in-house.
Yeah.
And I've also employed companies external like yourselves for external marketing. I see there's merits in both methodologies and both work, but someone that's all they live and breathe and do, I think will challenge it a lot better and faster.
Yeah,
and not get stale.
It's the challenge thinking that you need to question. Why do you think that's a point that's going to make your customer inquire?
And also to it's seeing things, sometimes things in different industries can have a great impact somewhere different.
Always. And you also get to understand where consumers are at and where a market's at, right? So for example, where you can very usually see if a certain sector is doing well or struggling, or if a certain sector is requiring more convincing to sell, then you get a gauge of where the economy's at.
And you can also look at lookalike audiences too. So if you look at solar, the way they qualify them to why they qualify people to buy investment properties is very similar.
It's very similar.
So lookalike audience, there might be messaging might be similar in A, B, C, D, how they qualify.
Yeah.
Now, I know you do a lot in philanthropy work as well, and it's something that's I'm very, very passionate about. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so philanthropy is something that my dad raised us with. We used to go, he was really big on this, on giving back. So we do we're affiliated with 2 charities at the moment. One that's probably a bit closer to me. My little cousin's autistic. His name's Kristian too, actually. This is how this came about. And met a bunch of great guys that started a charity called Charity Drive Days. And it's for challenge cancer, so kids with cancer. I actually met my fiance at that. She came and spoke as a beneficiary, but the main beneficiaries are challenge cancer, so kids with cancer, and Learning for Life, which is run by Tom Gleisner, kids with autism. So we, Charity Drive Days runs 2 track days at Phillip Island to the start of the year and 2 at the end of the year. Last year, I think it was given away just under $1 million in a post-COVID world. Before COVID, we gave away $1 million.
That's fantastic, mate.
It's a really good, fun group, great causes, great charity. And the other is an industry one that we support called Unlimited. Unlimited supports about 20 charities, and they are essentially like youth off the street type charities in various sectors.
So troubled kids. Yeah,
troubled and homeless kids, which I know is a point that you've done a bit with.
Yeah, I loved I do a lot. I used to do White Ribbon in Australia, domestic violence against women. Yeah. But the one I do most of my work with is St. Vincent de Paul's, so helping homeless people experiencing homelessness in Australia. We're currently in the process of building a house to auction and sell for $1 million now as well. We bought the land, about to buy the house, pay it outright and auction it. So that should be probably 8 to 12 months away. Yeah,
and so you did another one that we met. I think which is how we met you.
Well, we actually did that went into, and I've got to say thank you because I didn't even know you or Misha. And you guys done it a $5,000 marketing package to the clients, and we sold it for thousands of dollars. So thank you. And I think I barely had a conversation with Misha, and he said, "Yeah, I'll do that." So that was Lead with Kindness. So I raised $50,000 there, which went into my Vinicio sleep out, which goes towards the house. So they're kind of all interlinked. Yep. And also the book, Your Path to Wealth Brick by Brick, which I wrote, which is an Amazon bestseller, how we've helped over 3,200 Australians get into the property market, spoke to over 10,000 clients with this. All the money from that, not the proceeds, every dollar, every cent
went straight in.
goes towards this. That's and awesome. $500 to every sale that's generated from this business goes towards the charity as well. Yeah, cool. So it's kind of all intertwined and linked, but no, it's good to give back and help.
Yeah, so that's very good.
So how long have you been doing that charity work for?
Since we started.
What's the future plans for it, just to keep going?
We'd like to, it's actually on our realignment for this year, we'd like to do a lot more with Unlimited this year. So it's an industry funded charity. Yep. Essentially what they do is they align with, of those groups of charities under there, what they do is the suppliers, so being the networks, either Channel 9, Channel 10, whatever, they've got their inventory that they sell. Let's say their client's Coles buys $10 million a year. That's not the actual figure, but figuratively speaking, they might say, cool, well, Coles, are you happy to pay $1 million of that? The network will give for free, and that $1 million of their budget will go directly to the charity.
Fantastic.
We donate all the ads and whatnot for it and all the production bits for it. That's our contribution.
So people helping people.
People help the people. You help enough other people get what they want, you'll eventually get what you want, Chris.
I always love something I heard Jay Shetty say, because people have in most cases, and I'm totally not opposed to this, have a money mindset. They need to make money, which I love what I do and I'm passionate about what I do. Yeah. When it comes to my work, I expect to be remunerated. I do my charity 100% with a give back strategy. So I'm not opposed to people making money. I'm actually all for it. But I also believe what you do, that's important. And the reason I bring Jay Shetty up, he goes, if you want to make $100,000, go switch your mindset to helping 100,000 people. Yep. If you want to make $1 million, switch your mindset to helping 1 million people. 10 million, helping 10 million people. Having that methodology, the law of giving back, I think, comes back tenfold, because you're giving. And what I say to my kids, money's just a transfer of energy, I say to them. If you transfer that energy correctly, selflessly, without expecting anything back, it's going to come back like a typhoon tenfold. Yeah. If you give it expecting, I'm doing this for that, I go, you're not doing it for the right reasons, forget about it. Yeah. And I feel the methodology behind Jay Shetty's forget this, do this, and this will come with that, is a much nicer philanthropic way to look at things. I'm big on, it's interesting you touched on the energy point, I'm big on working on people's energies and working in energy. The more you help people, eventually it comes to you. It does. If you go out for you first, it's not a long-term strategy. You might do all right this month, but it's probably not a long-term strategy. And I always say to people, I'm the luckiest human being that's ever walked the planet, and usually people that know me, they go, you are blessed, because I genuinely believe that I am. Yeah. But I think you get what you put out. Yeah. That's why I've got a great team of people, great clients, but I think it's all a part of doing the same in return, I guess. Yeah. That's why I love people that do charity, because I think it's a good reason. I know a lot of people, and I'd like to think most people do it for the right reasons. Some do it for whatever, tax write-outs or whatever the case may be. But I think you can tend to find out who does what and why. Yeah. Yeah. Which is important. Helping. I mean, is there's a lot of people that can't control their circumstances. Some that are in them for other reasons, so they need all the help that they can get, and especially stuff for kids and people, things like that. Don't have the opportunity. Don't have an opportunity. If you can help them, that's what helps them set them up to set their own lives up later. I always look at it like this. Any one of us, like when I see the Vinnies, you're talking about CEOs that have had massive businesses that have gone down. There might have some other people got involved with drinking or drugs, or just unfortunate. That could be anyone. Yeah. I know that if that was me, I'd want someone to cut me a break. Yep. Because it could be. Yep. So now, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, Kristian. You ready for the, we call it a crazy minute, fast minute, whatever you want to call it. You ready? Hit me with it. What's your first thing you think of when you wake up? Honestly? Yes. Going for a swim. Okay. How do you start your day? I usually start it between October to kind of April. My board shorts are constantly on my bathroom door with my towel. Put them straight on, straight in the bay, quick dip, come home, then have a coffee and get stuck straight into work. That's a good way. What's your favourite thing to cook? Favourite thing to cook? Silver beet and steak. If you could work with anyone, dead or alive, who would you choose to work with? Chris Christophe. That's the spirit. Good answer. Second one? Misha Vaxman. There you go. Good answer again, Misha. There you go, man. He is good at sales. What's your biggest pet peeve? My pet peeve? I've got two. Yep, go. First one's people that chew with their mouth open. Yep. The second one is people that make excuses. Excuses are like, you know what, everyone's got one. Mm-hmm. Now, what's something no one knows about you? Little secret, I heard he's an avid water skier, and he floats on water. Apparently, there you go. Except actually, it's one that most people miss. They think that you're this person that's always around Melbourne, but actually, the thing I love doing the most is getting out into the country and water skiing. We've got a house in the Yarrawonga. That is my happy spot where my soul gets recharged. Where you go to? My go-to. So something no one knows that you're an avid skier? That I'm a frustrated country boy. If your house was on fire and you had to go in to get two things, we're assuming the family's out and you can't get your phone because you got it. What are the two things you're taking out? Photos. It's usually the common one. Now, what's your favourite movie?
It would have to be The Godfather.
One book that you've read that's influenced you positively?
One big time that I've just read recently is on winning without pitching.
Good. Favourite colour?
Black.
Your worst job?
I haven't had any worse jobs.
Best job?
Every job's taught me something.
Good answer. Best job?
What I do now.
I love that. I hear that a lot. If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Help more people.
I love that. Great answer. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much have you enjoyed the podcast?
I really liked it. I'm going to give it a 9.5.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure having you on. Thank you very much, Kristian.
Thanks, Chris.